Should I sell my house before, during, or after the divorce? What the heck are we going to do with this? Hey guys, my name is Rebecca Green, and today I'm going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that I get as a divorce real estate specialist about how in the world we handle big assets during a divorce. I get this question more than anything else. What do I do with my house? When do I sell it? How do we figure out who's going to keep it? And the answer is honestly, it depends. I personally sold multiple houses during my own divorce, and so I can tell you that the strategy for each house really depends on everything from the equity to what the spouses want to do with the house, what's the best decision for the children, all the way down when you can't agree to maybe what a judge in your specific area says you have to do with it. So I'll tell you a few of the conversations that I see on this end of things. In my divorce real estate specialty career, what I do is I go in early on in the conversation and I talk with both husband and wife, both people in the marriage who are dissolving it, to try to figure out what assets we have and what the best move is for everybody. Sometimes in a divorce, a lot of times in a divorce, people's biggest goal, whether they cognitively realize it or not, is just to hurt the other person. And unfortunately, a lot of times that's done by leveraging the asset of a house. Now, in my profession, I say I come in to represent the house. And at the end of the day, that means that I'm representing both of you and also the children, maybe the dog. But rather than leveraging the house to hurt somebody or to try to guilt trip somebody for moving out or whatever maybe caused the divorce, if we can come in and use the house as an asset to help everybody start their lives off better, that's the best bet. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just talking with you about some of the scenarios that I've personally seen people choose to move forward in a positive manner. The first one would be selling the house before you get divorced. What happens in my area, the states of Missouri and Kansas, is once you tell a judge that you are divorcing, you file your divorce decree, you hire attorneys, that gets recorded as a public record. You could now look up the divorce proceedings on CaseNet and see that Rebecca Green has decided to get a divorce from her husband. Now, what does that do? That means that if you go to apply for a credit card or you go to buy a house, you go to buy a car, anything, and they pull the records on your social security number, that is now attached to my name, which means that if you're going to be purchasing a house again, you're going to have to explain things to your new lender. So finding out where you're going to go in a divorce is always the first question that I have. If you choose to sell your house before you start the divorce proceedings, that's easy. It's a simple phone call to me, and we talk about where everybody's going to go. We get rentals lined up or home purchases lined up. When the home sells, the proceeds from for each person goes into separate bank accounts or together if you have debts to pay off. But all of that can really be decided up front, just like in a normal home sale. The money goes wherever you tell the title company to send it because nothing has been filed yet. That means that the only people that have red flags are me, you, and your spouse, and we talk openly about what needs to happen with the funds to make sure everything goes along correctly. That would be the first option, selling the house before you get divorced. Option number two, selling the house during a divorce does get a little bit more complicated because typically both people have attorneys representing them. In this situation, there are just a few more I's to dot and T's to cross as far as figuring out that sales price of the house that we want to have. There are some other conversations that have to be had with attorneys and other people that are involved about who's going to be listing the house, when the house is going on the market. Is the person that's staying in the home, most likely in this situation, one partner has already moved out? And so it falls on the person who is still in the home, sometimes with the children, to prepare it for showings, to make sure repairs are done, to let people in and out of the home. And it does become a burden on the person who's selling the home during the divorce. The good portion about this is, again, both parties by the end of the divorce period have the funds to be able to go start their life over. And sometimes, a lot of time, that is what ends up happening. One person thinks they want to keep the house, you get into the divorce process, and God knows what we uncover in the divorce, who's been spending money where, and we all just decide, hey, probably the house needs to be sold so that we can all move around and start over fresh. I can share a lot of stories here about things that can go bad or can go wrong. A lot of stories about things that can go good. There are so many times that moving on and selling a property in a divorce is really like a cleansing feeling to people. And I'm going to stop now and let you know that it is scary. I hear you. I know. I've been there. I was a real estate professional during my divorce. And still, where I was going to go with my kids once we sold the family home was the scariest thing in the world. And I have a lot of friends who've decided post divorce or during the divorce process that they want the family home. That's something they really want to hang on to. And I'm here for that and I support that. But there are also a lot of cases where you've just got to get rid of it and start over, whether it's an emotional, financial, a physical reason. In those cases, what happens is I always come in and work specifically with both people. Even if someone has already moved out, you are both owners of the home and you both need to be involved in the sale and the purchase and the prep and all of it. That is why having somebody who can come in as a neutral third party as opposed to your best friend who's been in real estate is really important. Same reason that if you happen to have a marriage counselor or a co-parenting therapist during your divorce process, you would not want that to be someone that one of you has a relationship with. It's important in this time that it's somebody neutral. And to be honest, I don't actually care, just like an attorney doesn't care in the state of Missouri who was wrong in the situation, who was the biggest butthead up until this point. All I really care about is representing the home. And what that means is making sure that we meet your goals with the home. Selling it for the highest and best price is typically one of the most important pieces in a divorce because you're all leveraging this asset that you built together to start your lives over. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think about whenever we talk about selling a home during a divorce. It needs to be agreed to by both people. In the state of Missouri, it may only take one person to purchase a home, but if you're married, you both have to sign to sell the home. So that's something we talk about early on. Everybody has to sign the papers whenever we list the home and start the marketing. We start the actual real estate process, which does, even if you are all the way through and you've decided you're going to keep the house, if you're not legally divorced, your spouse does, your ex-spouse, however you want to think about it. In the states that we live in, this is an important thing to think about. Courts see you as either married or not married. There's no in between. There's no, oh, we're almost divorced. There's no, we signed a notarized documents. You are either married or you are divorced. In the same way, sometimes I tell people you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. Courts don't care how dead the marriage was. It's a legal binding agreement that you have with your spouse. And so until that legal binding agreement is out, if we sell your house, you're working together on it. Now, the third way that you could do this is to sell the home after a divorce. In this situation, typically both spouses have agreed on a price. The person keeping the home has found some way to compensate the person who is leaving, whether that's cash up front, an equalization of assets from a 401k or something. Sometimes the person that keeps the house is the spouse who made less money. And so rather than paying child support, maybe the person decides, hey, you just keep the house. Now, there's a lot that we need to cover, and we will in a future video on what you do with mortgages, on how you can assume or maybe have to refinance the house. That's not what we're talking about. But if you choose to wait and sell your home after a divorce, then the judge has already wrapped their gavel and you've divided all of your assets, then you're basically just selling the house as a single person. You could, and I have had clients do this, negotiate all the way through, think they want to keep the house. I've purchased it from my spouse. I'm ready to go. And when that judge is like, it's over, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't want this house. I don't need this house. And at that point, no matter how angry it may make your spouse, let's say I've had this happen before where spouses agreed that a house was going to be worth $350,000 at the time of appraisal. The wife bought the house from the husband at $350,000. That's great. We love that for her. Then she decides after the divorce is all final, she's good. It was like the day after the judge said it's over, she calls me and she's like, hey, Rebecca, I want to sell my house. This is great. This was not somebody that I had worked with before. When I went in to figure out the appraisal price, the house was not worth $350,000. It was worth closer to $400,000. And the husband had just decided, I'll use the $350,000 value for the house. So in those cases, if the divorce is final, the ex-spouse has nothing to do with the sale of the home. Again, there's a big caveat star here that I'm going to have to do another video on about all the ways you've got to remove your spouse from the insurance, from the title, from the mortgage. There's a lot of things that just because an attorney says you're divorced doesn't liquidate the other person from the value of the home. And at the same time, it does. So there's so many things. And a lot of times what I see, that's where real estate gets really messy in a divorce, is that there are so many ways to purchase a home, to own a home, to be involved in a home with mortgage and insurance, and all of that is very personal. Judges and attorneys don't care. Their one job is to figure out a contract to dissolve the business deal that you have of a marriage. Once they do that, they step out. And if your spouse happens to be on your homeowner's insurance for another 3 years because you forgot to take them off, they don't really care. If your spouse happens to be on the title because you did not sign over a quitclaim deed, they don't really care. And there's a very specific way that all of this has to be done. But to start with, those are the three ways that you could sell a house, either before, during, or after the divorce. If you are within the sound of my voice, I'd be happy to talk you through some of this and set up a consultation. I'll have my contact information on the screen. This is my direct cell phone number. Best way to get a hold of me is typically a text because I do stay very busy. Try to reserve my nights and weekends for current clients, but if you have a question, that's one of my passions in life, is helping people get through this, and I'm here to help.